Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us on this Sunday. Tonight, U.S. officials tell CBS News the administration is discussing bringing Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy to the United States as part of President Trump's push to end the war between Russia and Ukraine this Thursday by Thanksgiving. Today, the U.S. led the peace talks in Geneva, Switzerland, in a major effort to settle the nearly 4-year-long conflict. CBS's Leigh Kiniry is in our London bureau with the very latest on those negotiations.
Good evening. Ukrainian officials met with a U.S. delegation that includes Secretary of State Marco Rubio, Special Envoy Steve Witkoff, and Jared Kushner, President Trump's son-in-law.
Hi, guys.
The progress report was positive.
We've made substantial progress. Today was the best day we have had in our entire 10 months of working on these issues.
On the negotiating table, a plan for peace, a working draft that appears favorable to Russia. It includes ceding around 20% of Ukrainian territory to Russia, prohibiting Ukraine from entering NATO, and reducing Ukraine's armed forces. It also calls for frozen Russian assets to help finance the reconstruction of Ukraine. But it's all up for negotiating. And after that tug of war, approval must come from the presidents, all three of them. Russian attacks are intensifying, and President Zelenskyy is under pressure. He previously ruled out gifting Moscow any territory. Now he faces a very difficult choice, he says. Either the loss of dignity or the risk of losing a key partner. President Trump is urging him to make a deal. President Putin reviewed the draft on Friday and said it could form the basis for a final peace, but he assumed Ukraine is against it. Russia has the upper hand on the battlefield, but it has also suffered great losses. Ukrainian drones struck a power station in the Moscow region this morning, cutting off heat for thousands of residents. Without a peace deal, a difficult and deadly winter is ahead for both countries. President Zelenskyy said today peace must be dignified, and Ukraine's European allies raised concerns about the plan, Jerika, saying Russia cannot be rewarded with territory for invading Ukraine.
All right, Leigh Kiniry in London, thank you. While the president has not publicly commented today on the negotiations, he has had a lot to say about the Russia-Ukraine war on social media. CBS's Willie James Inman is at the White House tonight with new details. Willie James.
Jerika, that's right. He posted about it this morning. Meanwhile, Secretary of State Marco Rubio says the president is pleased about the progress they are making so far in Geneva about that proposed peace plan.
We have to get it ended.
With talks underway in Geneva, President Trump sought to keep the pressure on Ukraine to accept a deal. In a Truth Social post on Sunday, President Trump claimed the war in Ukraine would have never happened with strong and proper U.S. and Ukrainian leadership, adding they had expressed zero gratitude. In a statement today, President Zelenskyy again thanked the U.S. and European partners. U.S. officials maintain the peace plan was authored by the U.S. with input from the Ukrainians and Russians. Despite bipartisan concerns, it heavily favors the Russian point of view.
That is a very good deal for Russia. It is a horrible deal for Ukraine, for our allies, and even for our own national security.
Also this weekend, Georgia Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene says she is not running for president. The conservative firebrand abruptly resigned from Congress effective January 5th, following a public falling out with President Trump over the Epstein files. She was one of several Republican lawmakers who supported a vote to release the files over the president's objections, prompting Trump to call her, quote, Marjorie Traitor Greene.
Standing up for American women who were raped at 14 years old, trafficked and used by rich, powerful men should not result in me being called a traitor and threatened by the President of the United States, whom I fought for.
After the president changed his mind on the issue, the House and Senate voted overwhelmingly last week to release those files, Jerika. And this weekend, the president said Greene would have never survived a primary.
Willie James Inman at the White House, thank you.